station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, we are ready.
European Space Agency, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check. Please call station for
Station, this is Jules, the PIO, here in Toulouse at the Cite de L'Espace. How do you hear me?
Jules, I hear you 5 by 5. How me?
Super.
Eh bien super, Thomas, on te voit et on t'entend très bien. Je passe la parole tout de suite à Christophe Chaffardon de la Cité de l'Espace qui va continuer l'animation de cet événement.
Bonjour Thomas, on est ravis que tu sois avec nous.
Hello, we're very happy that you're with us.
Il y a quelques semaines, tu te
Several
rappelles pour le congrès
weeks ago,
des enfants, mais les élèves ne
we're
t'ont pas
planning for
oublié,
the Children's
te suivent
Scientific
à l'heure
Convention,
actuelle sur Internet et même
but we're so happy to be able to follow you in person on the internet. Several of those kids have come back, especially to be with you today.
Qui va te poser cette
So
première
here's
question.
Monsieur of La Pujade who will present the first question. Hello.
C'est moi. Aimerions savoir si vous
Hello,
appréhendez
this
votre
is me.
retour sur Terre.
And I was wondering what you expect upon your return to Earth.
Eh ben, bonjour à tous, ravi
hello
d'être
to
avec vous
everybody.
aujourd'hui. Bonjour
Very happy to
Hippolyte.
work with you
Est-ce
today.
que j'appréhende
Hello,
mon
Hippolyte.
retour sur Terre Non, écoute, je serais content de retrouver mes proches et de retrouver
Well, am I
beaucoup de
really
choses de
looking
la vie
forward
sur
to come
Terre
back
qui
to
me
Earth?
manquent.
Well,
En même temps,
not
j'ai un petit
really.
pincement au
I'll
cœur de quitter
able
la
to come
station spatiale. Ça fait
back
5
to
mois que je suis
my
là, je m'y suis bien habitué.
people who
Puis
are
c'est une
close to
expérience
me,
tellement exceptionnelle, on n'a pas
and to
envie
be
qu'elle
able to
finisse.
take up
Tu sais, c'est un peu comme la fin des
pleasures of
vacances,
life
même
on
si on a
Earth.
beaucoup
But
travaillé.
you know,
On est
we've worked
content de
together
retrouver ses
very
amis
hard
d'école,
together, very
mais en même
closely
temps,
for
on va
several
quitter quelque
months.
chose de formidable.
And
Donc c'est un peu
so,
dans
on
cet
the other hand,
état
I'll
d'esprit
be
que je suis en ce
leaving, and
moment.
so for this reason, I'll be leaving something that's really great, formidable. And so my feelings are mixed.
Ok, merci Thomas.
Okay,
On a,
thank you,
parmi
Thomas.
toutes les personnes qui sont avec nous
Among all the people who
aujourd'hui
are
à la
with
Cité
us
de
today
l'Espace,
at the City of
nous avons
Space, or Space
l'honneur
City,
d'avoir Monsieur le maire
we have
de
the honor
Toulouse,
to have
président
the
de la
mayor
Cité
of
de l'Espace,
Toulouse,
Jean-Luc Moudin,
who
qui est
is
là.
here at
On
the Space
l'accueille
City,
et je crois
Mr.
qu'il
Jean-Luc
a
Moulin,
aussi
who is
quelques
here.
questions à te poser.
He has a few questions to ask of you.
Bonjour Thomas, et
Hello, Thomas.
ravi d'échanger quelques instants avec vous. On est vraiment très,
I'm really
très
happy to
émus.
spend a few moments with you. We're very emotional about it. This is really the European representative. You're the only European aboard the Space Center.
Si vous éprouvez de la
And so
fierté d'être
we'd like to know whether you
le seul
feel
Européen
proud of
dans
being the
l'espace.
only European in space.
Ben, bonjour Monsieur le
Well, hello,
maire.
Mr. Mayor.
Oui, écoutez,
Yeah, well,
pour moi,
yes,
l'Europe,
listen,
c'est
for me,
c'est
Europe
très
is
concret. C'est pas une notion vague.
it's a
Moi,
very
je la vis
concrete, not a vague
quotidien.
concept, but a very concrete
Je
one.
suis basé
I live it
à
on a
Cologne
daily
en
basis.
Allemagne, à une
I'm
encablure
based
de
at
Paris, de Bruxelles. Je me rends à
Cologne,
Amsterdam
Köln,
régulièrement.
in Germany,
Et autour de
and I
moi,
go
eh ben,
back
je
and
partage
forth
mon
to
bureau avec
France.
un Anglais,
And
en face de
around
moi une
me, I share
Italienne,
an office
mon
with
chef
an
est belge.
Englishman,
Donc
an Italian.
c'est
My
l'Europe
boss
au
is
quotidien,
Belgian.
c'est l'Europe qui
So
marche,
it's
qui
Europe on a
réalise des choses
daily
que
basis, which
qu'on
works
n'arriverait
well.
pas à réaliser au
It's
niveau
something
national,
that
je pense, il faut
we
le dire.
don't
Ça
think
nous
about
permet
on
quand
a
même de faire des
national
choses qu'on
basis. It's
ne peut pas
on a
faire au niveau national,
Europe-wide
comme
basis.
par exemple voler
We can't
dans
do
la
things
station spatiale
simply
internationale.
as on a
Donc
nation-by-nation
c'est ça que ça
basis. We
m'évoque.
need to
Oui,
work
je
together
suis
to be
fier
able
d'être le
to
seul Européen à bord de
support
la
the
station
program
spatiale.
aboard
Et
the
puis
space
je trouve
station.
ça
And
vraiment
yes, I'm
sympa
very
qu'on
proud to be
alterne
the only
les nationalités parce
European
qu'aujourd'hui, moi
here
j'ai mon
aboard the
drapeau
space
français derrière
station.
moi, j'essaie
Here you
d'apporter
can
une
see
touche
that
un
I bring
peu
my
française à mes collègues.
French
Et puis demain,
flag
ce sera un
behind me.
Italien
I
avec des
try to
choses
bring a little
différentes,
bit
une différente
from
approche
France
de beaucoup
with
de
me,
choses,
and next
nourriture
time it'll be
différente, etc.
an
Donc, je
Italian,
trouve ça sympa
and he'll do that. I think it's kind of
partager
neat
ça
to be able to
avec
share
des
this
collègues
with my
américains ou
American
russes et puis
colleagues or
leur
my
montrer en fait
Russians.
que notre
And so, in
richesse en
fact,
Europe, c'est
we're
notre
able to
diversité.
share our richness in Europe, which lies in our diversity.
En tout cas, nous, on est
Well, in any
très
case,
fiers
we're
de
very
vous
proud
avoir.
to be able to
Et puis, on
receive you
aura
here,
le plaisir dans quelques mois,
and
je
we'll
pense,
have the pleasure, I
et vous
think,
allez
in a
me le
few months,
confirmer, de vous
to be able
accueillir
to
ici
confirm,
à la Cité de l'Espace. La
to
Cité
be able to
d'Espace
receive you
fête
here at
cette année
Space
ses
City.
20 ans,
Mais
mais
it's been
en
20
octobre
years
prochain,
that
il y
it's
aura un
been in
événement
operation.
assez incroyable puisque
It's been a
elle
very
accueillera
incredible
ici pour la
period.
première fois le congrès mondial
The World Congress of Astronauts is going to be held here, and so we'd like to have a confirmation from you, and would have the great pleasure to be able to greet you here
Oui, absolument.
and to receive
Ce
you.
sera un
Yes,
grand plaisir
absolutely.
pour moi de
It's
revenir à
going to be a
Toulouse,
great pleasure for me
qui est
to
là où
return to
mon
Toulouse,
aventure aéronautique a commencé, faut
and
quand même le
this
rappeler.
is where our aeronautical adventure
Pour le
began, as you know, for
des
the
astronautes mondial. Et puis,
World
on aura
Astronaut
beaucoup de choses à
Concert
leur montrer à ces
Congress.
astronautes.
There are a lot of things that we'll be able to show to these astronauts. and I will really want to be able to guide them, to help them explore what we're able to offer on a professional basis. And once the Congress is over in the evening, to be able to meet them informally. Well, it really warms our heart to hear you recall your years in Toulouse. Can you tell us what it contributed to you to be in Toulouse those various years? Well, sure. Toulouse gave me some wings. It's a metaphor, but in a personal sense, I had never taken a plane in my life. The first time I ever took a plane was to come down to Toulouse and study there from my birth country of Normandy. I discovered so much there, everything to do with aeronautics. We had a privileged situation. We had Airbus on one side, Dassault on the other, and the civil colonization efforts. All of this, which makes up a professional framework and fabric having to do with space and aeronautics. I discovered everything over there. I learned how to pilot small planes. I learned how to parachute. I opened myself up to the international perspective. And so I learned an enormous amount of things in Toulouse, which is something that absolutely has led up to my being here in the Space Center today, Space Station today. Thank you very much. I'd like to present you a last question, which a lot of people think here. What is your best remembrance of Spain, of space? It's a very good question. I have so many good memories about work in the space station. One of my first memories is the first time the sun rose. We left at night. We knew that we had arrived in orbit, but everything was dark and saw nothing. Then all of a sudden, I saw the sunrise following the curve of the Earth along the horizon. And then everything came along in view. The sea and the clouds. It was really magnificent. I think that something that will equal that was my first extravehicular exit, when we saw that we were suspended in space in the emptiness, in a vacuum. Something, of course, that we had done so many times in training, but to actually do it for real was really quite an emotional. I think those are my top two memories. And another would be to be able to get up on the podium and talk about my experiences. That'll be my third great memory. Thomas, would like to thank you for having taken a little bit of time to dialogue with us. For us, it's a marvelous thing to talk to you from here, and of course to be able to see you as a connected astronaut, entitled as such, up in space. But in any case, we wish you good results from now until the end of your mission, and we're looking forward to the pleasure of seeing you in person. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'd like to return salutations to you. So we have a rendezvous with you in October. Super. We have many questions that we'd like to pose for Thomas. Here's a young man who came with his mother. I'd like to pose a question to you so that we can listen right away.
Bonjour Thomas.
Hello, Thomas. My name is, and I have a question for you. I've noticed that in space, your hair hasn't grown much. Well, thank you very much. Tell us about haircuts up there. It's a very good question. I haven't studied very much on the subject, but it's something that my feeling is that hair grows a little bit faster, is the impression I have. Maybe it's because I have to cut my own hair. And so it's poses more problems for me than it would be on Earth, perhaps. I'm not sure. We'd need a few statistics to see whether, with a great number of doctors studying the subject, which is something that might be a subject of study the next time we have an ISS mission. Many visitors here have also engaged in experiments with us, animation, to be able to share a little bit of your life. The question that arises is how do you feel about the weight? It's a very concrete question. I'd like to explain to you. How do you wash your teeth, for example? Well, nothing is simple. Well, actually, nothing is simple in the Space Station. You have to learn a lot of daily activities, how to sleep and eat, to take care of your hygienic needs. We have to adapt to it. But it's fairly easy once you get the hang of it. Here's our toothbrush. We have our toothpaste, just like on Earth. We simply brush our teeth. We rinse our mouths. And at the end of brushing our teeth, we simply swallow. The toothpaste is not toxic, so if we don't swallow too much, it's not a problem. And so we have been able to brush our teeth aboard the Space Station. Well, that's exactly the same thing that our visitors tell us. You just have to swallow the toothpaste. A lot of people have been in touch with us via Facebook. One of them's name is Laura, and she'd like to ask you a question. We'll listen to it. Hello, Thomas. My name is Laura. Talking about your first extravehicular sortie. How did you feel about it, and did you feel any dizziness? That's a very good question. No, I did not feel any dizziness. I had been in space for quite a while, so my brain had adapted to it. You don't have the feeling that you're going to fall. Actually, there's a considerable amount of stability out there, and something that your brain, of course, takes in and integrates. It felt natural. I went out into space, and so there I was, just hanging on to by cables that kept me in safety. And so it's not quite like George Clooney and Gravity, but I had to be careful. I didn't have a feeling of falling. I look at my feet, and I saw 450 kilometers of space below me. I felt this kind of strange and funny, but I didn't have this sensation of height. It felt very natural. I think it's thanks to the training and to the fact that the brain adapts to weightlessness. Thank you, Thomas. Here's another question from Peter, also from Deline is here. She has a question for you. Deline, can you ask a question of Thomas? Hello, Thomas. Out in space, is your electronic equipment disturbed or perturbed? That's a good question. Yes and no. Functioning, the electronic principles are the same. The numerical exchanges of electrons are not affected by being out here, but there are certain special consequences that arise. For example, we don't have sedimentation of gases. The cold gases do not descend as they do on Earth. When it comes to electronic devices, it's a little bit more complicated. We don't have, for example, migration of hotter gases upwards as happens on Earth. On Earth, we have ventilation, we have water circuits of cooled water, all of which might affect electronics. But in space, on the other hand, everything is more complicated. We have to change the way we think that we've adopted on Earth. And so we have systems that are designed to function up here. So you don't have to, we do not bring equipment that functions on Earth and just plop it up in space and start using it. We have to use specially equipped and designed apparatus. Well, quite a lot of folks have come today. We have a lot of students, a lot of from high schools, from colleges, and here's Emma, who is from the aeronautics school. Hello, Thomas. We wanted to know
spécial avant une sortie dans l'espace?
What do you do to prepare yourself for an accident to space? Hello, Emma. Yes, there's a special preparation, a lot of training on the Earth. And to go out into space is one of the most difficult things physically because I was in a space suit which resisted. There's a great deal of difference in pressure between the outside and the inside. It's rather rigid. It's kind of hard to move around in it. And so then we're asked to go out to move around on the outside of the Space Center station to perform repairs. And next, it's as if you feel a reduced pressure inside the space suit. And so you have to adapt to that. It's a little bit like going from lower depths in the water to coming back up. And we have to be careful not to have decompression affect our nitrogen levels in the blood, for example. With all of the systems that we need here in the Space Center, space station, to filter air. If I need to get back into the station, there are various attachments that are attached to the belt, which keeps my tools from drifting off. And so we plan for the extravehicular sortie 3 weeks in advance, that we spend an hour here, an hour there, and then maybe 3 hours, and we basically lengthen the amount of time that we're out. It's a complicated thing. It requires a lot of work to prepare. Good. Well, thank you. Well, Thomas, we have one more question. This is Gail, who's going to ask you the question. Hello, Thomas.
Cite de l'Espace et nos visiteurs nous posent souvent la question et ton planning?
I'd like to pose you a question.
Depuis que tu es levé ce matin.
Can you give us sort of your program since you got up this morning? Tell us what you've done. Well, yes, that's a good question. My schedule is right here on the computer behind me. It is controlled by the Earth Control Center. They dialogue with me by radio throughout the day. This morning, for example, I rose at 6 o'clock. I did my 2.5 hours of sports with all of the control features that help me to pose questions to me and impart answers. I did my exercise, and then we had a conference with the doctors and the physical physicians. I then worked with satellite cubes to be able to launch. I prepared all of this for this afternoon. We're preparing for the extravehicular activity. 2 colleagues are going to be going out in their space suits. I'm going to be inside the small space vehicle to be sure that everything is operating properly. After that, I'm going to be working with the water recycling station aboard the space station, and this will bring me to about 19:30, about 7:30 p.m., and then it'll be time to eat. Then everybody goes back to his own quarters, and of course we will naturally remain above the space station. That's where we work, but it's also where we live. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Thomas. Last question quickly. There's one more question with Leila. She's from the junior college. Hello, Leila. I'd like to know whether you engage in a particular sport aboard the station, and if so, which one? Yes. We do various sort of artistic acrobatics because we can move in every direction. We do whatever is required so as not to lose muscle mass. We want to be sure that we don't get back to Earth in a fragile condition. We want to be sure that our circulation is good. We don't work with weights, of course, because naturally there is no weight here. You can lift 100 kilograms, for example, but it doesn't do you any good. But we work with elastic equipment in that little compartment over there. And so that's what we do. We have resistance training. Well, Thomas, it's over. We'd really like to thank you for your interview from up in space. And so we really wish to hope you soon back at Space Center. If you can bring you that Mars rock to show to you. Yes, but here it is. I don't know if the camera will show it, but here is the Mars rock. which was given to me to bring up in space. As you can see, it has a particular place, the space station. I make sure to keep close watch on it because I know how precious it is, and I'll be looking forward to bringing it to Earth. Who knows, someday we'll be seeing the same kind of rock on Mars when we get there. Maybe you'll be the one who brings that piece of rock back to Mars. Well, we wish you all the best for a successful conclusion, and thanks again, Thomas, for having been with us, and we shall see you soon up in space. Thanks again. It's my pleasure. It's a great pleasure to be with all of you today. I wish you all a great day from space.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you, all participants with the European Space Agency. We are now resuming operational audio communications.